Need some guidance on how to fill out your 1099 forms? We'll walk through how to get it done quickly. I'm Stephen Abbott, and I'm the founder of Abbott CFO Solutions. Now let's jump into this video. All right, we're coming up on the end of January, which is the deadline to get all your 1099s submitted and mailed off to your contractors. This will be timely. If you're trying to get them finished up, let's walk through how to get it done quickly. So the first path is one that hopefully most of you will be able to do. If you're using QuickBooks Online, this is one of the easiest processes. They've implemented a lot of features into QuickBooks Online that really allows you to simplify this process and make it as easy as possible. So what you're going to do is you're going to go down to payroll and you're going to go over to contractors. And there's actually another way to get to this. You can go into your expenses and go into vendors or contractors. But I always recommend going through the payroll feature because you'll see it's a little bit nicer. When it lists your contractors, you'll actually see very quickly, is the W-9 ready or is the W-9 not ready? And this will give you an indication if you need to collect some W-9 forms, get some information loaded, or do a little bit of cleanup before you actually process them. But if you've been loading this information through the year and collecting your W-9 forms, then this is going to be a really simple step. At the top right side of the screen, you're going to click Prepare 1099s. In the very first screen, it's going to pop up as actually your business information. This is who is sending the 1099 forms and all the information. So you'll want to verify it's correct, and then you'll go on to the next screen. Now on the next screen, if you haven't done this before, it's going to be blank. And what it's essentially asking you to do is select the accounts that you load your services into. So you might have more than one. One of the most common ones is going to be called contractors, but you might have others for professional and legal fees. You might have it for a marketing agency, but you're going to want to select every account where you have put service expense into so that it will pull all of the vendors from those accounts. Maybe you've done this before and you have some accounts you need to add. In the top right, you'll click Add. You'll want to select any of the accounts that you need to add. And then if you need to remove any, you can just hit the little trash icon to remove them from the list. Once you've got all the correct accounts selected, you'll move on to the next screen. In the next screen, you're reviewing all of the vendors that it's selected. Now, a couple things to note. Any vendors that were less than $600 or you paid by credit card, they should not show up on this list. As well, if you have any vendors that maybe were an S Corp or a C Corp, you unselected track for 1099, then they're not going to show up in this list either. And you have a second tab here, which should show you any vendors that may not fall into that category and you don't need to issue them for. I always recommend double checking that list just to see if there's anything incorrect and you might need to go correct your information to make sure. Once you've double checked everything though, the first list is the vendors that are going to receive a 1099. Now once you're ready, you can go ahead and submit. But what you'll notice is I don't have the contractor payments turned on. So I'll actually have to pay about $5 per form to file them. Or there's also the option to print and mail. Even though the deadline is January 31st, QuickBooks Online has a deadline of January 28th for you to submit your forms so that they get mailed in time. However, there's also an option to print and mail these yourself. This year, the limit has been reduced to 10 forms total that requires you to e-file. So if you need to submit at least 10 1099s or W-2s, you need to make sure that you're using the e-file feature. Now, Stephen, what do I do if I'm not using QuickBooks Online or I can't figure out their tool? There's another tool that I'll recommend. It's actually what I used to use before QuickBooks Online had integrated this feature, and it's called eFileForBiz.com. Now, this tool is really good for accounting firms, but as a small business, you can use it as well. And it's pretty simple. Similar to the way QuickBooks Online worked, you load your information, your EIN, your business name, and then you'll load your vendors' business names and their EIN information and all their address. And then essentially you'll just want to file a new form, a 1099. You'll select your business name, then you'll select who you paid, and then you'll type into the side exactly the amount in the box that you paid them for last year. So the only difference in this case is you'll have to have already pulled your information on each of your vendors and how much you paid them for the year, and you'll have to type it in manually. So this tool is a little bit more manual than QuickBooks Online, but if you're not using QuickBooks Online, maybe you're not there yet and you're just doing everything in a spreadsheet, or you're using another tool. Some of my clients aren't using QuickBooks Online and their tools don't have a built-in feature to do 1099. So I use this tool for them. Now at eFile for Biz, they're also going to have a deadline to get all of this off and make sure that things get to your vendors in time. So I recommend filing by the 27th or 28th of January as well. And a bonus option that you can take a look at, I haven't actually used it myself for 1099 filing, but I've used it for other services, mainly their W-9 tracking, and that is track1099.com. So they'll also do 1099 filing for you. They were recently bought out by another company, but I've used them historically to collect W-9 forms electronically. So I walk through them quickly, but those are a few options to get your 1099 forms filed if you're trying to meet the deadline here quickly. I hope this was helpful. And if there's any other questions you have, or you get stuck on any of the steps processing them, just leave a comment or shoot us an email and we'd be happy to take a look at it and try and help you out. Until the next one, God bless.